Hi, this video is about how to use collaborative problem solving to develop healthy communication. And I have a video before this about healthy relationships using nonviolent communication. And collaborative problem solving is a very specific technique of nonviolent communication. And I'm going to go through very specifically how to use it step by step. This is a game changer. It's transformative for relationships, and I'm going to use a specific example so that you can see how it works in action. So the example is that my son was consistently not coming when I called him for dinner. Okay, this is just an example. It really happened, but this can be applied to any situation, any conflict, big or small, with any person. So this is just an example, but in the past, what I would do is, this technique is from Dr. Ross Greene's book, Raising Human Beings. This is where he details it, and it's specifically, he gives all kinds of examples in parenting. But again, this can be applied to any relationship. And in the book, Raising Human Beings, he talks about Plan A, which is the default mode that I was in most of the time as a parent. And it looked like this. My son's not coming for dinner. We have a bell. I ring the bell, right? I've just spent an hour making dinner. I ring the bell. I call up, dinner's ready. A few minutes go by. He's not coming down. So I call up again. Hey, did you hear that dinner's ready? And he's not coming down. So I stomp up the stairs, and he's on his video games. And I get angry and I say, why are you addicted to your video games? Why can't you come down for dinner? Right? And I have all of these blame and judgments going on in my head. He's lazy, he's ungrateful, he's addicted to his video games, he doesn't have any control over himself, or whatever. All these things, judgments, are going on in my head. I express them to him, and then I usually do one of two things. It's the punishment or reward. I'm going to punish you or threaten, right? If you don't get off right now and come to dinner, you're going to be off electronics for the rest of the day. Or maybe a bribe, right? If you come down right now, I'll give you an extra cookie for dessert. I don't know. And this is very, very common in parenting and teaching, in religion, in business, anywhere where there's an authority structure. We like to use punishment and reward, and it's really condoned, right? But we use it in peer relationships too, whether it's with our spouse, our sibling, our coworker, our friend. We use this shame and fear and control and manipulation and punishment reward, even if it's manipulating through, I'm going to try to be so nice to you so that you will meet my needs. But there's still this desire to control the other person and this belief that the other person is responsible for my happiness. So I have a mantra that I repeat every morning, which is, I am responsible for my happiness. You are responsible for your happiness. I set you free to make your own choices, and I set myself free to make my own choices. So at the foundation of this technique is this understanding that I'm in control of myself and you're in control of you. And I'm not going to try to control you. I'm going to ask for my needs to be met with an open hand. And now, I didn't understand how this could work with parenting, so that's why I'm giving this example. But again, it works with anything. So this technique I'm going to show you, the reason why I love it is because it's effective. It's not just morally superior or something. It actually works. It actually solves the problem that we're dealing with. And in so doing, it develops empathy, creativity, communication. There's peaceful problem solving, and it creates human connection. Because that plan A, like I just described to you, that creates conflict. My son and I do not feel connected. There's a lot of animosity and anger and negativity between us, and the problem wasn't solved. So it might be solved in that moment, but it's going to happen again the next night, right? So this is the technique. Ready? First, you want to identify the problem. Identify the behavior or what's happening that's kind of not okay with you. And then you want to figure out how to word it in a non-judgmental way, being curious without judgment is going to be key here. So when you present the problem, you're just going to say, I've noticed, and fill in the blank. And you want to be careful not to use blaming and judgment words like, I've noticed that you're a lazy, video game addicted, whatever, because that's going to elicit defense right away. Conflict's going to keep going. So instead, you're just getting curious and just saying the facts, right? So what I did is and this is not in the heat of the moment. You actually have time to think about this because you're not going to do it in the heat of the moment when you feel the urgency. You're actually going to wait. So in that situation, I would have just allowed him to not come to dinner, and I would have brought up the subject at a peaceful time when we're both feeling okay. Because in the heat of the moment, it's likely not to be peaceful, right? So I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to say, so hey, I've noticed that lately when I call you for dinner, you're not coming. What's up? Or you could say, why is that? Just a very open, curious stance. Here's what I see. Here's what I observe. The facts, not what I've made up about it, but just the facts. Can you give me insight about it? Okay, then you're going to listen without interruption. Okay, because you're not going to want to put your story on the other person. You really want to hear their point of view. So you give them the opportunity. Now with a child or a spouse or anyone, if you have not been used to using this technique with them, they may assume that you're just going to steamroll over them, blame them, judge them, right? And so they may respond negatively at first because they may not trust that you're actually coming with non-judgment and curiosity. Okay, so you might have a little bit of a learning curve there, but once they trust that that's what you're doing, the process is much quicker. So I asked my son, so what's up? And it was fascinating. He said, so Mom, I've been playing this certain game that I really like, and the games take 10 to 20 minutes, and I'm in a group of people with a team, and we're all working together, and if I just come right when you call me for dinner, I'm abandoning them, I'm leaving them, I'm betraying them. I hate when they do that to me. I don't want to do that to them. And I thought, oh, okay, so you actually are considering people. You're not being inconsiderate, right? And so that was very insightful. And I wouldn't have gotten that information if I hadn't been really open to listening. So the second thing is that I'm going to consider myself, because it's not that you let the other person steamroll over you. It really is a self and other mixed together. So you're going, and you might have spent some time before this identifying what your needs are. Now, the need can't be, I have a need to control you. I have a need for you to do what I say, right? It can be really helpful, actually. Marshall Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication, you can even Google like the core needs of nonviolent communication. It can be helpful to print it out or look at it and kind of identify, what is my core need? Because that's work right there, is figuring out what is it that I actually need. So what I said to my son was, first, can I share my concern with you? And if he's in a calm mood and you've just fully listened to the other person, they are likely to say yes. And if they say no, you respect that and you bring it up at a different time. But so he said, yeah, what are your concerns? And I said, well, for me, not only, I've spent an hour making dinner, and I guess I have a need for some kind of appreciation, but more than that, this is the only time that our family comes together and has connection as a family unit in the day. And so I really cherish that time. And so that's the need that I want to be met, right? So now we've identified his need to not abandon his friends. We've identified my need to have this family connection time. Okay, so now we're going to brainstorm a solution that considers both needs. And a solution is not a solution if it's not meeting both needs. So what I do, particularly in parenting, but I think that in any relationship, if you're bringing up the problem, you want to give them the floor first to come up with a creative solution. Now, if it doesn't meet your needs, you have the right to say, no, that doesn't work. Let's keep on thinking of other solutions. So I did this with my son. I said, what do you think would be a solution? I think the first thing he said was, well, I come down when I'm ready. And I said, well, I don't think that works because that doesn't meet my need because either the food's cold or you're coming down and we're done eating. So do you have any other suggestions? And then he said, well, what if you called me down 10 minutes before dinner, and then that way I could either make sure and finish my game or give you an estimated time of when my game would be finished, or I could not start a new game because I know that dinner's ready. And I thought, that's brilliant. I love that idea. So from then on, I started ringing the bell or calling down 10 minutes before dinner was going to be ready. And the problem was solved. We didn't have conflict. He was loyal to his friends. We had family time. And it actually solved the problem. Now, people change, situations change. Your life is always in flux. So you can always revisit. Whenever you notice there's an issue, you can just bring it up. Hey, I've noticed. And or hey, I think this solution that we came up with isn't working so well anymore. Let's go back to the drawing board. And there's no fear in it, there's no shame in it, there's no conflict in it. It actually promotes very positive feelings of we're working as a team. It's us against the problem rather than me against you. And the dynamics are very life-giving and connection building. It's incredible. Um, so please try this with anything that you observe with your child, your spouse, your boss, your whoever. um, identify the issue, identify the needs in you that are not being met, come to them with open hands, say, hey, I've noticed, and listen to them. Try this technique out. If you have questions about it or you want to go over your specific scenario with me, you can contact me on Instagram. Just send me a private message, and I would love to help you through any specific scenario here. Okay, and if you have liked this video, like and subscribe, and I'll have another video coming out in a few weeks.